I guess my question would be, what's the key to the quick turnaround here? I know you guys aren't used to playing games so quickly, one after the other. I guess what would be the key for you guys to come out and put out your best performance on just a short turnaround?
I think it's something that we've all gotten used to, though, with our club ball, too, is that, you're going to play a lot of Saturday, Wednesdays, and sure, this is a really quick one when you look at it that way, but, it's not something that we can't manage, and I think when you have such good squad depth like we do, it makes dealing with these short turnarounds that much easier. When you have the depth and you have the player quality littered throughout this roster, that anyone who needs to step in can make a difference. I think that's really important, and, I think that goes a long way in managing these quick turnarounds.
Thanks, Alistair. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Neil Davidson, go ahead.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, Alistair. I hope you're doing okay.
Hey, Neil. How's it going?
Good, thank you. I was just wondering what you think your reaction is going to be tomorrow night, being one of the enemies, so to speak, on your home ground, and whether you'll get to see the visitors' dressing room for the first time. What's it going to be like?
It's going to be a weird experience for sure. Heading down to Nissan Stadium, exactly that, going into the enemy territory to a degree, going into that visiting locker room. It's something that I've never experienced before. And also, being on the wrong side of our supporters' chants will be a little different for a change too. But I tell you what, I think our crowd has always been top class with me. They showed me a lot of love throughout my first year and a half here in Nashville, and I wouldn't mind them seeing what they got, see what they can get on me with. We'll see what they got, if they got some chants or whatever they got to throw at me. But I'm curious. I still think I'll get a decent reception. Maybe just maybe not the loudest boo on the whole team. Maybe that'll be the reception I get. But, I'm looking forward to it too, and I think it'll be a fun time for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will have a chance, hopefully, for a second round too. But we'll go to John Molyneux next. And for anybody, just use the raised hand feature to get in line for the questions.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, Alistair. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us. I'm just wondering, with regards to the last game against the U.S., I'm just wondering if there were any sort of valuable lessons that Canada learned from that game that you possibly take into tomorrow's match.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of things that we've taken into. I wasn't there for either of the past two matches where we played the U.S., but obviously there was that pretty amazing one that happened at BMO, and then there was the follow-up one in Orlando, which went a little bit differently. And no, I mean, I've seen the video breakdown. We've talked about it. We know what a Berhalter team looks like. We know what they want to bring to the table, and we know what kind of personalities they have and players they have. So, it's just balancing that as well. There's plenty that we've taken from it. Milan's giving it here. No, there's plenty that we've taken from it. I'll tell you what. I think that we're really comfortable with who they have. We all know them really well in terms of what they're going to, kind of come out on the pitch and expect what we're expecting to see from each player, no matter who they throw out there, which is always nice. We have a lot of familiarity, I think, with their team. But at the same time, I think there's lots of things that we've learned in terms of you can't get yourself in a hole early. This is a team that thrives on once they get playing, they become really confident, and they're a really tough team to beat. And they've shown that with other results too lately when they've gone and played, friendlies in Europe and stuff like that. So it's a team that we're going to try and frustrate. And that's what you got to do as an away team in the CONCACAF. You got to be a frustrating team to break down and take whatever you can get.
Thank you very much. We will go with Gavin Day from MLS Soccer, followed by Ron Blum from Associated Press.
Yeah, thanks. What approach are you expecting from the U.S.? They're a team like you that's come in with a point, but conversely, they have a point on the road, whereas you have one at home.
That's a good question. I think I know, well, I can take a guess at kind of what their mentality would be, is that it's a bit of pressure on them for sure. I think when you go on the road and start with a point, that's great. I know that their fans were probably, potentially a little upset that it was only a point, but I still think that any point on the road here in CONCACAF is a solid thing. I don't think that's anything to look back on and wish you had more out of, necessarily look back on with any negative thoughts. But I know they're going to feel a little bit of pressure, and that's kind of going to be our game plan, is to feed off that. Is, can we keep this game really tight and combative for that first half? Make it difficult to break down and see if we can create any, nervous tension in their ranks, when they start to feel that pressure. That's going to be something that we're going to be looking to do. That's always going to be a part of our game plan on the road against a CONCACAF kind of powerhouse like the U.S. is. But we know they want to come home. They want to put on a bit of a show for this Nashville crowd, and so be it. That's how we feel the same when we go home on after this game to play El Salvador. We want to put on a show for a home crowd, so we get it. They're going to want to come out and perform to their best. So, we're expecting a USA team that's going to be flying, and that's what we're preparing for.
Thank you very much. Ron Blum, Associated Press.
Hi, Alistair. How do you see the U.S. tactically as a different challenge than Honduras was?
I think when you look at them just on paper, obviously the U.S. has got some really big players, some really big teams across Europe. That's something that probably jumps out first. But stylistically, they're going to be different too. I thought Honduras did a great job in terms of what they did. They knew their identity, and I think the U.S. knows their identity very well too under Berhalter. They kind of have a set way of playing, and they do a really good job at doing that. I think one of the biggest differences is just, Honduras came on the road, and you instantly set up kind of differently than how you would set up at home. So I think they kind of came almost playing for a bit of a dogfight and really wanted to go for a draw, which I don't think the U.S. will be going for. They're going to be super aggressive. They're going to try and be on the front foot all game long. And, we understand that because that's what we were kind of trying to do in that second half of the Honduras game. So we know how the tides turn, whether you're home or away. So I think that's going to be the biggest difference. Obviously, they got tons of just elite talent on this team littered throughout their roster too. But, that's not something that we're worried about because we look across our lineup and we're pretty excited with what we got too. So man for man, firepower, we feel good about going into that game. But, it's also going to be about managing the moment, managing the crowd, and, just going in there and trying to earn something, earning a respectable result. And the CONCACAF is no easy feat, especially in the U.S. So that's going to be something that we're going to be looking to do.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you very much. Adam from Daily Hive, followed by Hadi Rafael, the Culture of Soccer.
Hi, Alistair. I'm just wondering, what's the mood been like in training, coming off of that point on Thursday? What are the guys saying to each other, and sort of what's the general mentality like, just amongst the team?
I think it was coming out of that game, there's a bit of frustration, but at the same time is that still some excitement there. I think going into this next game, as we know, we have so much more we can give and so much more to show in terms of what we're able to do. We knew that it was going to be difficult. It was going to be a little clunky going to that first game. Everyone coming across from overseas, from all their clubs, and only really able to train for 1 or 2 days going into that game. So we're kind of excited that we kind of knocked off that rust a little bit, and now we're going to kind of get into our groove a little bit and really show what we can do. So I think there's a lot of general excitement around the group for that. And it was nice to get that first game out of the way, just to get any jitters of playing in the Octagonal out of the way, and now you can really just focus on, okay, we're here, this is real, and let's get after it.
Thank you very much. Adi?
Thank you, Richard. Hey, Alistair. John Herdman said after the game that you kind of lost 2 points at home, and it was about time to maybe, catch them somewhere away from home. Will that game be a game where you can catch those 2 points, or are you looking to win, at all costs in the U.S.?
I'll put it as simply as this. We're going to every game looking for 3 points. I don't think that we're ever going to go anywhere and set up shop and try and play strictly for a 0-0. I don't think that's really in this team's DNA. No matter what formation we're in, we always feel really comfortable and confident that, we can get something out of a game. Just the attacking talent we have and the defensive structure and just stability that we have across this group. So I don't think whether we're at home or away that we're going into a game thinking about, hey, can we get a draw out of this? If you're thinking like that, I think that you're holding yourself back a little bit. And I don't think you would ask any team in the Octagon at this point that the reason why they're here is because they came into games looking just for draws. They came to every game, hey, we want to get a result. And yeah, of course, there's going to be some games that maybe you look back on and go, okay, that tie wasn't the worst. But at the same time, we're going to every single game looking for 3 points.
Thank you. We'll go to Charlie O'Connor-Clark from Canadian Premier League, followed by Neil Davidson, Canadian Press, to wrap up.
Hey, Alistair, just you guys changed shape a few times during that Honduras game in terms of your tactical flexibility, and that's something that you guys did in the Gold Cup again against the United States. I'm just wondering how much of an asset that's going to be in a game like this heading in tomorrow, just your flexibility.
Yeah, I think our flexibility just poses a lot of issues to teams. I think it's great when you're partway through a match where you can do that and slide into these different formations and different tactics, because when you play against these really smart teams that are filled with just super smart, cerebral kind of players, they can kind of pick up on things after like 15 minutes. They can kind of really pick up on how the game's flowing and where the pockets of spaces are and how to break down a formation. So I think that once after, it gets in that period where they kind of start to feel like they're feeling you out and starting to get a grip on what's going on, and then all of a sudden you switch it and give them a completely different look, it's just that much more difficult for this team to then cope again. They got to go through that whole process again of trying to figure out what exactly we're doing and what the weaknesses are and what the strengths of it are. So I think it's something that we'll utilize and continue to utilize. And I think it's a great asset to us. I mean, just having the number of players that we have that are just really good footballers, athletic players that can play in different positions, that are smart players that, can adapt on the fly to that kind of stuff. I think it's super important. And, it gives us a different look that, can really give teams troubles, and which is something we're going to try and keep bringing out here in the Octagon.
Thank you. And Neil Davidson, please.
Thanks, Richard. Alistair, we talked after the Honduras game about what a frenetic evening it was. Given the high stakes, do you expect all of these final round games to be upper level, no room to breathe type games, or is it going to depend on opposition and the venue?
I honestly, I think it's going to be pretty much like that every game. When you look down through the 8 teams that are in it, I think when you look at Mexico, they're probably the only ones that think, okay, we've been there, we've done this before. Like they feel pretty comfortable in their skin. But at the same time, we showed in the Gold Cup that there are teams that are coming up and, kind of biting at their heels at the same time. But I think the U.S., as much success they've had this summer, they're still looking at it as, they didn't qualify for the last World Cup. So there's that added pressure there. So they know that in the back of their minds that, every single match in these it's got to be like a World Cup final if you want to make it there. And then I think for the other 6 teams that, have kind of been on and off, in and out of World Cups over the past couple decades, everyone's just vying for a spot. And that every single match, if you can grab 3 points, it could be the difference in the end between going to Qatar or not. So I really do think that pretty much every single match for every team is going to be at that frenetic pace, because everyone knows how important each point is. I don't think there's nearly the divide that there maybe was before within CONCACAF and the separation in talent. I think that from top to bottom of these 8 teams, everyone has kind of those talented players that can make a difference and be game changers at any moment. And I think that it's just a super, super competitive, and it's going to be a tight race for these couple spots here in Qatar.
For the United States, considering you guys played 3 days ago, I guess, or is it kind of be? Are you looking for kind of a similar that what we saw against Honduras?
To tell you or not, I know for sure they're going to be reading this media. So no, these are World Cup qualification games now. So I got to be tight-lipped now on everything. We're in enemy territory, and it's always difficult in CONCACAF. So I said it right at the beginning. It's really important that we've got some depth in this squad. We've got some world-class players, and we're going to have to rotate players across 3 matches. It's going to be difficult to sustain, top-level performance in 3 games in 7 days. But at the same time, there are players who have the ability to go back-to-back games, and those guys will get that opportunity.
That's perfect, John. Appreciate that. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Very much. Neil Davidson.
Thanks. Hi, John. Perhaps after what you just said, that explains why Greg Berhalter was so complimentary about your team a little earlier today. He called it one of the most improved teams in CONCACAF. What would be your take on the current U.S. squad? How do you assess them?
An exciting team, really exciting team. It's and I've been watching them. yeah, they've got all sorts of weapons, different types of players. Love watching Pulisic. Love the energy of McKennie and obviously young Rayner as well. I mean, it's an exciting team that, as a US fan base, they must be happy to watch their team. So, all in all, it's going to be a good match. It always is. Again, I think it just always comes down to who will want it more in these games. There'll be some tactical elements to it that are important. They'll have the advantage, which is always a rowdy crowd here in the US. But, I think in simple terms, Greg's done a good job with his players. He's won a Gold Cup. He's won a Nations League. They don't concede many goals. They don't concede many shots. So whatever it is, it's going to be a big night for us, and we'll have to be beyond our best to come out of here with a result.
Thanks. John, I think in the States, a lot of people look at this and think the Canadian team sort of came out of nowhere, not really realizing that this has been a long-term project, kind of similar to the one that you worked with the women's team. And as well as you're playing right now and the hope for the next World Cup, this project will go beyond that. Isn't that correct? To 2026, this is not a flash in the pan kind of thing. Yeah,
I mean, I think this has been a country coming together over a 10, 12-year period with, the development of players. We've got a very non-linear system in our country where there's a lot of contributors, from MLS to private academies, to now the Canadian Premier League, to the grassroots clubs. I mean, it's been a process that I wish I could sit here and go, yeah, you masterminded Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies, Tejan Buchanan appearing. For whatever reason, the universe conspired, and I had a good run on the women's side, and I get a chance to work with some top class players, like I did with Christine Sinclair. So, I think what we've created behind the scenes is a clear purpose. We've created a brotherhood, a spirit that, that wasn't there prior, and the players will attest to that. We've had to work on that with some good experiences, and we've created a tactical identity, which has allowed, I think, some of our best players to bring the best out of themselves. So, yeah, I would love to take credit for this one, but this has been a country that's came together, and about time as well.